Hi guys, welcome back. So today we've got a new episode in the MK8R build series where we install a Eventuri carbon fibre air intake. But before we jump into it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, also notification bell, then you won't miss if our new videos go live. So installing a Eventuri carbon fibre intake. If you're not familiar with Eventuri already, it's a UK brand that design, develop and manufacture carbon fibre cold air intakes for loads of different cars, mainly popular in like the BMW market, and then moved into loads of other models. We had one fitted to a Mark 7 Golf R, worked really well. So they've just sent down a Mark 8 Golf R development kit to test out a test fit on our car and also to get some data. So just like how we did with the intake hose test the other day, we're going to test the car standard, see what the power and torque output is, get the Eventuri intake fitted, and then measure the power and torque afterwards as well. As well as that, obviously, with a high-flowing air intake, especially being carbon fibre rather than plastic, it's probably going to sound a lot better as well. So we're going to do some sound differences at the end of the video, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But for now, we're going to get the car on the dyno, see what the power is standard before we add the intake, and then get the car in the workshop and talk you through the kit before we get it fitted, and then back onto the dyno. So see you in there. Okay, so as you've seen, we've dynoed the Golf R. We've obviously put the standard intake hose on it, so it's all the standard intake. We've unboxed the Eventuri intake, which we've got here in front of us. So we must say it looks incredible, especially versus the factory plastic airbox. But obviously, other than the aesthetic, there's a lot of improvements that have been made by Eventuri, starting off at the front duct. Similarly to the Mark 7, there's a massive limitation in the front duct, being that it doesn't actually use the whole entire duct across the front of the car. And Eventuri have resolved this by having a bigger intake, which is also the whole entire way across, and it's a nice smooth transition into the airbox. So whereas with the factory intake, it changes direction quite a few times, in the Eventuri, it just goes straight through the air duct into the Eventuri filter and then down into the intake hose, which replaces the factory intake hose which you've got just here. So it's a much bigger bore, a lot smoother transitions, all that kind of good stuff. And also obviously with the carbon fibre, it's going to be rejecting a little bit more heat, so obviously the intake air temperature should be a little bit lower. So we're going to get this fitted now, get the car back on the dyno and see if it makes power. Hey guys, thanks for watching the Eventuri intake testing. So we've got all the data and we're going to talk you through it right now. Obviously I'm a floating head at the moment. We thought it'd be interesting to do this kind of composition. Obviously let us know what you think about it. So on the left hand side we've got with the standard ECU software. On the right hand side we've got with the race chip software activated on the vehicle. So obviously there's gains all the way across the rev range. So let's talk you through. So the blue lines are the stock intake and the red lines are with the Eventuri. And this line here is the horsepower and this line here is the Newton meters of torque. So this particular car came in about 329 brake horsepower and 438 Newton meters of torque. And once the Eventuri was added, it produced around 336 brake horsepower and 439 Newton meters of torque. So some gains at the peak. Obviously those peak numbers talking about 5 horsepower and then about 1 Newton meter of torque, but under the curve, as always, you always see some big gains, which you're looking at around 16 Newton meters at 4,000 RPM and then 11 brake horsepower at about 5,700. That's obviously on standard power. If you go over to the race chip, obviously there's massive gains all the way across the rev range, especially sort of at the top. And again, the car with the standard intake makes 362 horsepower, and then with the made 362 horsepower and then 501 Newton meters of torque. Once we add the Eventuri, released even more power, so about 377 horsepower and 504 Newton meters of torque. So some big gains at peak, but also underneath the rev range, again, we see some massive gains, around 37 Newton meters, about 4,500 RPM, about 23 brake horsepower, at 5,800 as well. So we can definitely see the Eventuri restores or releases a lot of horsepower that was already there, especially once you've increased like the boost levels of the race chip. And yeah, we're really excited to keep this on the car. And obviously once we can tune our own ECU software, really see the Eventuri benefits sort of like come alive. So yeah, this will definitely be staying on the car. Let us know what you think in this video in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then please give us a thumbs up. If you'd like to watch other videos of ours that YouTube thinks you'll like, then click up here. If you'd like to watch some other videos that we have in the same playlist, then click here. And obviously if you enjoyed the video, then we really appreciate if you gave us a subscription. And then obviously you'll be updated when other videos of ours go live, and you can do that quite easily by clicking here. Hope to see you soon.